Okay, so we've got a really interesting one for today's deep dive. You've sent in a ton of stuff on Alibaba Group. Seems like you're interested in going way beyond just their shopping site, right?
Yeah, most people just think of like the whole e-commerce thing when they hear Alibaba, but trust me, there's a lot more to it than that. It's actually kind of mind-blowing how big they've gotten.
All right, so let's break it down then. For someone who's, maybe just heard the name Alibaba, what are we talking about here in terms of like size, scale, all of that?
Imagine this. Their IPO back in 2014, it was the world's biggest, bigger than Google, Facebook, even Twitter, all combined. That should give you an idea of just how massive they are.
Yeah.
And it's not just e-commerce either. We're talking digital payments with Alipay, cloud computing with Alibaba Cloud. They're even giving Amazon a run for its money in that department.
Alibaba Cloud competing with Amazon. I mean, that's a heck of a journey from starting in a dorm room back in 1999, right? That was what, like just 15 years before they were taking on Amazon?
Exactly. It shows just how ambitious they are, how fast they can adapt. But it's more than just like random growth. They have a strategy. They're connecting all these different businesses in really smart ways.
Okay, so walk us through some of those connections. Like I'm looking at their Wikipedia page and it mentions this Caneo network, their logistics arm. How does that fit into everything?
Caneo. Perfect example of how Alibaba connects the dots. Think about it. They're not just delivering packages, they're gathering data on a massive scale. What are people buying? Where's it going? How fast does it get there? That kind of information is incredibly valuable.
Yeah, that's a data gold mine if I've ever heard of one.
Yeah. Exactly. And they use it for everything. Predicting what people will want to buy next,
Yep.
managing their inventory, even tailoring the whole shopping experience to individual customers. That level of like control and insight, not many companies can do that.
That's both impressive and kind of scary, to be honest. It's like they're not just selling stuff anymore, they're shaping how like the entire consumer experience works from the moment you think about buying something to when it shows up at your door.
Yeah.
And it's all driven by data.
100%.
Okay.
And that's what makes Alibaba so fascinating, but also a bit concerning, when you start thinking about data privacy and the power these big tech companies have.
For sure. Okay, so we've talked about Alibaba Cloud, but then there's this thing about them developing their own RISC-V processor. I mean, what's the deal with that?
Oh man, that's a whole other level. See, most companies rely on these processors from like Intel or ARM, but RISC-V, it's open source. Anyone can use it. Alibaba going this route is a huge signal.
So they're basically saying, we're not just going to use the same tech as everyone else, we're going to build our own.
Right, you got it. More control over their tech probably saves them money in the long run and could even give them an edge in things like AI and cloud computing. It's a power move for sure.
So we've got this massive tech company dominating e-commerce, building their own computer chips, going head-to-head with Amazon and cloud computing. What else am I missing here? It's like they looked at the entire tech landscape and said, yeah, we'll take a piece of all of that. I mean, their Wikipedia page even mentions they have this whole entertainment arm with like
Right.
Youku.
Oh yeah, Youku. Think of it like China's YouTube, massive over there.
Mm.
And then there's Alibaba Pictures Group making movies, distributing them, and they've poured a ton of money into music streaming too, so.
They're trying to be the Netflix, the Spotify, everything all at once. Is that also about like gathering more data, do you think?
Oh, absolutely. Imagine knowing what hundreds of millions of people are watching, listening to every day. That data is gold, right? For advertising, for sure. But it also plays into this bigger thing Alibaba's doing.
What's that?
It's like they're trying to blend the real world and the online world. Like, have you heard of their new retail thing?
Oh, yeah. The Fresh Shippo supermarkets, those are wild. It's like walk in, scan your phone, grab your stuff, and you're out. No cashiers, no waiting in line, right?
Exactly. And the whole time, it's Alibaba Tech running the show. They know what you're buying, how long you look at certain things. It's pretty next level.
It's impressive, but man, it also feels like we're giving up a lot of privacy for that convenience, don't you think?
Yeah, it's the trade-off, right? Convenience versus how much you're willing to share. And that brings up another big part of the Alibaba story, that we can't ignore their relationship with the Chinese government.
Yeah, that's the elephant in the room, isn't it?
It's complicated, for sure. You've got this innovative company competing on a global scale, but they're also operating within a very specific political system.
And that system, it's not exactly known for being hands-off when it comes to businesses, right?
Right. I mean, look at this Suexi Kangguo app. It's this platform the government uses to like spread political messages and stuff. Guess who helped develop it? Alibaba.
Wow. Okay, so let me get this straight. We've got this tech giant sitting on mountains of data, blurring the lines between shopping online and in person, and they're working hand in hand with a government that, let's just say, has a different view on privacy than many other countries.
This is a lot.
It is a lot, and it makes you wonder, how comfortable are we with a company like Alibaba potentially influencing the future of tech on a global scale? How much power is too much?
It's a good question, and I don't think there's an easy answer.
Okay.
We've covered their e-commerce dominance, their ambitions in cloud computing, the whole logistics network, even their moves into entertainment and this new retail strategy. What else is there? So where do we even go from here? I mean, we've gone down this rabbit hole, right? Alibaba's involved in everything. But what's the main takeaway for someone trying to wrap their head around all of this? I think the biggest thing to remember is that Alibaba, they're not just this isolated company. What they're doing, it's basically China's story, too. As China becomes a bigger player in tech, Alibaba's right there with them.
That's a good point. We always hear about, Google, Amazon, the usual suspects. But Alibaba shows us that the future of tech, it's not going to be just one country calling all the shots.
Exactly. And that has huge consequences, right? Global trade, how supply chains work, even who gets to develop the next big thing like AI or quantum computing. It's all up for grabs.
It really makes you think about how we see the tech world. Like we've been looking at it one way for so long, and now companies like Alibaba are saying, hey, there's a whole other side to this. 100%. And it's not just about like the technology itself. It's about different ways of governing, how we think about privacy, even how consumer culture evolves.
Totally. Like those Freshippo supermarkets we talked about. That tech is amazing, but it also makes you wonder, are we okay with this level of tracking and data collection in our lives? It's a trade-off.
Definitely something to think about, especially as tech keeps advancing. What Alibaba's doing in China, it might be a preview of what's to come for the rest of us. The lines between online and offline, the things we keep private and what's out in the open, it's all getting blurry.
Yeah, it's exciting and a little unnerving all at the same time. And
Yep.
as Alibaba gets bigger, goes global, these questions about their influence, their ethics, how close they are with the Chinese government, those aren't going away. It's
Yeah.
not a chance. Alibaba's story is like this perfect storm of technology, business, and global politics. Makes you rethink everything.
Totally agree. Well, we've covered a ton of ground today, from that dorm room to what basically taking over the world. They're a tech giant, they're masters of logistics, they're making movies, and they're a huge reason why China is becoming such a force in tech.
It's been a wild ride. Hopefully our listeners got plenty to chew on now, because Alibaba's story, it's just getting started.
For sure. We just scratched the surface here, but hopefully this inspires everyone to, go down their own rabbit holes. There are tons of fascinating companies out there quietly shaping the future in ways we never even imagined. Until next time.